Ms. Crow's entitled to her opinion, but if she ever had a clever thought, it died alone and afraid. I've got a lot of friends who are Democrats, and they haven't asked me for advice, but if I did, I'd tell them, look, you just got to try harder not to suck. You never interfere with your opponent when he's kicking his own ass.
You may have seen this video of Sheryl Crow. She was a singer a couple of decades ago. She's selling her Tesla. Look at that. Isn't it sad? And she's waving goodbye. Nice gated community, by the way. Is that fence around her home? I'm just wondering. I mean, I was told that walls don't work in keeping people out, and yet somehow Sheryl Crow seems to be fine with a big old barrier there trying to keep people out of her home. But the point is, there goes the Tesla. Why is Sheryl Crow selling her Tesla? Because she hates Elon Musk, and she thinks this is going to hurt him. Nobody explain basic economics to Sheryl Crow, please. But selling your used Tesla to somebody doesn't actually hurt Elon Musk or Tesla in any way whatsoever. She also said that she was donating the money that she's making off the sale of her Tesla to NPR, which, by the way, I love this solution. We get enough has-been 90s stars to sell their goods and services or products or used luxury items and then donate that money to NPR. If there's enough of them doing that, does that mean that you can stop taking money out of my paycheck to subsidize NPR? This is a great solution. I'm all for it. As a radio host and podcaster, do you have any idea how infuriating it is that money gets taken out of my paycheck to subsidize my competitor? Think about that. Think about any other industry. Would that happen? Imagine if you work for an airline and you get money taken out of your paycheck at American Airlines to help subsidize Southwest and United. But no, I go on the radio every single day. I do my job, and they take money out in taxes, and they use part of it to fund NPR, which is like 3 stations down on the dial from my radio show. And I have to compete in the ratings. I'm bitter. Don't get me started. Our favorite senator from Louisiana, John Kennedy, was on Hannity, and they talked about Sheryl Crow and selling Teslas to hurt Elon Musk, and I think he handles it from here.
You know what this makes me want to do? I have friends that own Teslas, and if they're going to have a boycott and try to harm Elon Musk for exposing waste, fraud, abuse, and corruption, you know what? I think my next car, I'm going to really look into a Tesla. I think that's going to be my next car.
Well, with respect to Ms. Crow, I'd make a couple of points, Sean. Number one, Ms. Crow's entitled to her opinion. Number two, I think she means well. But if she ever had a clever thought, it died alone and afraid. I think point three, I think that it should not go unnoticed that President Biden got a lot of his advice from pop singers and movie stars and people who partied with Harvey Weinstein, and we know how that turned out. In terms of the Democrats, I've got a lot of friends who are Democrats, and they haven't asked me for advice. But if I did, I'd tell them, look, you just got to try harder not to suck. I mean, think about it. Over the past 4 years, the Democrats mismanaged Congress. They mismanaged COVID. They mismanaged the economy. They mismanaged inflation. They mismanaged the national debt. They mismanaged Afghanistan. More recently, in their opposition to President Trump and Mr. Musk, the Democrats have chosen to support the bureaucrats and the spending porn over the American taxpayer. Just like they support illegal immigration over the rule of law, just like they support transgender athletes over women's sports, just like they support Hamas terrorists over Israel. All Democrats are not like this, but the party is controlled right now by people who majored in online activism with a minor and puberty blockers.
Boy, that is just a gold mine to work off of. He's so good. And he's 100% accurate on that last point, because let's not forget who is now the vice chair of the DNC, David Hogg, who I believe he just perfectly accurately described, majoring in online activism and minoring in puberty blockers. Beautiful description. To Hannity, and there's a little bit more of this I want you to see because he's so good. Hannity has a point here, though. All good America-loving, Trump-loving, make America great again Republican conservatives really should think about buying Teslas. And I know. You think that only tree-hugging, left-wing, climate change conservative activists buy Teslas, but you're wrong. I can I admit I don't think I've ever mentioned. Have I mentioned this before on the program, Kevin? I'm going to out myself. I own a Tesla. In fact, it's worse than that. I own 2 Teslas. That's right. And I bought them before it was cool. Okay. Now, don't get me wrong. I have a Model Y and I have a Model 3, and I'm not rich. They're actually relatively affordable cars. All right. They're lovely guys. And if I'm a Detroit kid, all right, I love the internal combustion engine. If Detroit made a good internal combustion engine car that had the technology and engineering that the Tesla has, including their autopilot features, including the mapping, including the beautiful way the car drives and the way all of the technology and apps work on the one very clean screen for the entire dashboard, I'd buy it in a second. It just so happens this is an electric car, and I just want you to know that it has nothing to do with greenhouse gases. In fact, I feel dirty when I drive my very clean Tesla. I feel awful that I'm not spewing more carbon into the atmosphere. So when I come home from my commute to work, I go into the backyard and I burn a tire out in my fire pit just to emit as much carbon into the atmosphere as possible. That's my carbon offset. I work it the other way. I emit enough carbon as if I had driven an internal combustion engine to work. All right. So trust me, I'm not trying to save the planet with my Tesla, but it's a great car. It really is. And I bought this well before Doge and well before Elon Musk even bought X. It was right around that time. But I love the guy. And after I got my first one, we're like, well, we need a second car. And I'm like, and my wife had already sort of taken over my Model Y. So I got myself a zippy little Model 3. You should price it out because Hannity's right. If the left is going to protest Elon Musk by selling their Teslas, we should buy them from them. Or if you really want to help Elon out, buy it new. They have some deals going on with the Model 3 right now. You'll love it. In the zip. All right, back to Hannity and Senator Kennedy.
I know these people. They think men can breastfeed. They're triggered by race. They cry if you use the wrong pronoun. And most fair-minded Americans look at this and they go, these people are about 10 exits past normal. And that's what's killing the Democrats right now, in my opinion.
I'm sorry. I don't want to interrupt this. Keep going.
No, I'm done.
Okay, spending porn, and they got to try harder not to suck. And I can't keep up. One question people ask me about you, they like, is this extemporaneous from Senator Kennedy, or does he actually think this out ahead of time? Does this just flow naturally for you?
About 5 minutes before an interview, my staff knows to leave me alone. And if I know the topic, I start thinking about, I've got maybe 4 minutes, and I start thinking about how I'm going to frame it. Sometimes I say things that I shouldn't, but as I've told you before, God made me, and God gave me the right to remain silent, but not the ability.
Well, I appreciate it, but it is interesting what you're saying, because what have they doubled down on? They doubled down on waste, fraud, and abuse and corruption, which will end up being hundreds of billions, if not more. They doubled down on men and women's sports and doubled down putting the rights of illegal immigrants, including known terrorists, murderers, rapists, cartel members, gang members, over the safety of Americans. That's kind of dumb.
Well, it is. And frankly, it's bad for our country. I mean, it's good for, I'm a Republican, it's good for my party. What I tell my colleagues is just, look, we just need to stay calm. We need to stay calm as a Hindu cow and just go about our work and get our bills passed and let the Democrats be the Democrats. And so far, it's working. You never interfere with your opponent when he's kicking his own ass. So that's what's going on.
I think that is very sound counsel advice. And if this is where, if they're not going to look out for working men and women and their safety and security and their money, I'm happy with them staying right where they are. Bad for the country if they ever get power, but they're not in power. Senator, we appreciate you more than you know. You know what this?
I like Sean. He's a good guy. And personally, he's always been very nice to me and supportive. But I'll be honest, and I got to be honest, you know, I've not always been a fan of his interview style, but he played that perfectly. You get Senator Kennedy on for a one-on-one, you just let him go. And I got to say, Sean asked the question that we all ask. Do you write your own stuff? Does your staff write it? Whenever you come up with these great lines, and we got the answer, an answer we've always wanted to know about Senator John Kennedy of Louisiana. He just goes by himself for a little bit before an interview, and he comes up with those own lines. And the man is absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Have you seen the news from economists forecasting a depression, not a recession, a depression by 2030? Here's what's happening. We have a perfect storm brewing. We've got Social Security and Medicare hitting a breaking point already, and the largest generation of retirees in America hitting retirement all at the same time. Plus, you got a smaller workforce, meaning a smaller tax base. That plus the growing national debt, the rising cost of living, you see the problem we're in right now, right? So you can either sit back and wait for Congress to fix it, or you can actually do whatever you can to protect your family's future. Gold can be a safe haven in hard economic times, and Birch Gold makes it easy to diversify a portion of your savings into physical gold. Birch Gold will help you transition an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold. It doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. Protect your future today. Text my name, Larry, Larry, to 989898. You're going to get a free info kit on gold the second you do that, okay? You text my name, you get this free info kit. What else do you get for free? You're going to get a book called The Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era, and it's got a foreword written by Donald Trump Jr. There's no obligation for any of this. We just want to give you information. So text my name, Larry, Larry, to 989898. Thank you in advance for doing that today.